We are back with another quick question, and I'm interested to hear what those of you in the comments also think in relation to this, because it varies slightly, but in general, this is definitely in one of the top 10 questions. Over my course of fitness, I have been asked something similar to this. And the question is, I'm around 30% body fat, and honestly, I feel too big to bulk, but also too small to cut. What should I do to break out of this middle stage? Because I feel like I'm not sure what direction to go and what is best to focus on to actually see progress. So this person basically says they're around 30% body fat. And my very first thought is, I have no idea who told you that you're in a position to potentially bulk, because you're not. If you actually do have a true 30% body fat and you're not really into fitness much yet, which means you also have low muscle, you are nowhere near in the realm of someone that should be thinking or even contemplating doing any form of bulk. Without being mean, you're already quite fat. There's no reason why you should be eating a surplus of calories and thinking bulking is the answer for you. Even if you're a newbie right now and your goal is to build muscle, you should not be thinking bulk. And I think the reason you are thinking bulk is because you probably hear beginners always mentioning that, oh, I need to bulk to build muscle. That really only applies to those that are really skinny, like those that are underweight, because even if they hit the gym and start lifting weights, because they like to eat too little calories, you're not going to see much results, because you need calories and protein to build muscle. Now, if you're someone on the total other end, you can still start training and be in a calorie deficit and build muscle. And you're probably thinking, how can you lose fat and build muscle at the same time? It's simple. You're a beginner. Now, if I was personally after like 10, 12 years of training, if I just started looking to want to lose body fat and build muscle, it's probably going to be very difficult, because even at this point in general, even if I was in a bulk, it's quite hard to attain extra muscle at this stage, because the longer you've been training, the harder it is to build muscle. But if you're someone fairly new to the game in terms of fitness and stuff like that, you can get on that cardio machine, you can still do your weights, and as you're losing weight, you'll build muscle because it's a new stimulus. You're not used to resistance training. Your body will be building new muscle every time you go to that gym.
Well, will you look at me?
And as you're doing cardio, you're just chipping away at some of the calories you're eating, along with obviously you probably improving your diet as well. So don't think of it as black or white and you have to do either or. The one thing I will stipulate quickly is that most people don't actually know their body fat, and body fat percentages, I personally always say try to ignore them. Like, there's no real need for them unless you're someone that's stepping on stage. But in reality, the reason I say that is because two people could have the same body fat and look totally different. For example, you could have a person that has been training for 15 years, has a good level of muscle in their body, and they say that they are 15% body fat. Then you can have someone else that has never really trained, that also says they're 15% body fat, but their physiques are going to look totally different, simply because the muscular person can have a better frame, and sometimes you may look at them, even though their body fat says that, and it's going to look like they're more like 10 to 12% of the average person. Whereas a person with low muscle mass, all the fatty pockets just stick out so much more, and it's going to look much more pronounced, and they're going to look much worse. But with that being said, I want to keep to the person's word and just stick to everything they've written, because for these questions, I want it to be like an open thing. I'm not calling you liars. I'm just giving you my thoughts. But in general, the main idea I want to get across to you is that currently at 30% body fat, if that's true, you are not in this middle stage. A middle stage person, I'll probably say, is a guy that's been training for like maybe a year and they're 20% body fat, if they really are that body fat, because in their head, they've built a little bit of muscle. They can see little bits of bumps, but they're not that lean, and they're not sure how to get more muscle mass on their frame. That's more someone that's in the middle stage. You at 30% body fat, the way it's sounding is like, you know what, maybe, just maybe you've been training for longer. So take the advice I've just told you, that you're a newbie at 30% body fat. Now I'm going to address it as if you've been training for, say, 2 years. Let's say you've been training for 2 years. If you've been training for 2 years, I would give you the same damn advice. If you're 30% body fat, you are too high to be doing any sort of bulk. I know you're probably thinking it was going to be rapidly different. It's really not. At the end of the day, 30% body fat is way too high to be considering a bulk. No legit coach or fitness person online, if they saw you and you literally look like someone that's 30% body fat, is going to tell you to ever think about starting a bulk and eating more calories. So what I would personally recommend, bearing in mind you didn't actually include your height or weight, which is actually a big factor, but I'm going to take it at the fact that you've probably Googled what 30% body fat looks like, and you think that you look like that, which means that you are pretty on the chunky side. So I would just literally continue on with your training. Say if you train 4 days a week, at the end of those training sessions, I would initially add on 10 to 15 minutes of cardio. Personally, I always say aim for calories, not minutes. So I'd say, for example, aim for 150 calories on a cross trainer or an exercise bike, or a multitude of different ones, which I think is great. Making sure that your cardio is balanced across like the treadmill, cross trainer, and bicycle, and maybe even the stepper if you want to be brave. I would introduce doing cardio that much at the end of each of these sessions. Then I'd consider keeping your protein still high, at least 140 or 150 grams of protein per day. And then slowly but surely cutting down the calories. I'm assuming you eat at least more than, 2,200 calories, but that is the advice I can give you based on what you've gave, because you haven't told me your calories or anything. But I don't want to go long-winded on this. The moral is you should not be bulking. I would sooner think that you should be cutting, or at the bare minimum, you can say main gaining, like the Greg Doucette used to say. Aim to eat your maintenance level of calories while still doing the cardio I mentioned and in a high-protein diet. You'll probably still be losing fat as you build muscle. It'll just be a little bit slower. Because based on your question, I'm assuming you're considering a bulk because ideally you think you don't have enough muscle underneath the fat. So if that is the case, maybe go with the main gaining approach then. So aim to eat a high protein diet while still doing the cardio I mentioned and pushing yourself when it comes to the weights and trying to progress them. And you will likely build muscle and gradually but surely lose body fat. An added tangent, I would reduce any potential bloating you might have. So reduce the overconsumption of fizzy drinks, make sure you're getting enough fiber, because sometimes what adds to the fatty look is like you're not shitting enough. For example, if you don't shit at least once every 2 days, I personally would try and say once every day, but at least once every 2 days, chances are you may have a whole bunch of, backed up fecal matter in your stomach that does help you look more bloated. And also the fizzy drinks and stuff, even if they are 0 calorie, they can kind of blow up your stomach a bit and make you look a bit puffy. And in general, just consume a lot of water as well. Try and aim for at least like say 3 or 4 shaker bottles per day is a minimum. I normally say at least 2.5 liters of water, and that can help flush out any potential bloating in your body by helping you pee more. It normally takes around two weeks-ish before it starts working effectively, but try and maintain doing that. And with the information you've given me, that is the answer that I would give. Please, subscribers, fitness coaches that may be watching, give your thoughts down below based on the information he's provided. Don't message going, there's not enough info. I know that, but this is what is given, so I'm giving the advice based on what has been given to me. Anyways, guys, for those of you that may need some extra help with coaching, hit my links down below. I can definitely help you guys out. And for the rest of you, I'll see you guys in the next video.